Come, gather round, settle in, and let the worries of your day fall away. I want to share a story with you. It's an old story, one that has been told for thousands of years, whispered in tents under starry desert skies. I am here not as a judge, but as a storyteller, a brother. You may know me by many names, but today just think of me as a friend. We are going to look at a difficult tale, the story of two cities called Sodom and Gomorrah. It's a tale that holds deep lessons about humanity. This story isn't just about fire and brimstone, as some might have you believe. It's much more than that. It's about people not so different from you and me. They lived, they loved, they worked, and they made choices every single day. Imagine a place of incredible abundance. The Jordan Valley was a ribbon of green, a paradise on earth. The river nourished the soil, making it rich and fertile. In the heart of this valley stood two sister cities, Sodom and Gomorrah. They were bustling centers of trade and wealth. Their walls were strong, their markets were full. The people of these cities were blessed with much. They had beautiful homes, fine clothes, and more food than they could possibly eat. Their lives were filled with ease and comfort, but this great material wealth had begun to change them. A sense of entitlement had taken root in their hearts. They started to believe that they deserved their good fortune. They looked upon the poor and the needy, who gathered at their gates not with compassion, but with disdain. The laughter in their streets was often at the expense of others. The community that was once a beacon of prosperity was slowly becoming an island of selfishness, cut off from the rest of humanity by its own pride. My father, who sees and hears all, became deeply troubled. This was not the world he envisioned. The divine design is one of connection, of empathy. In that ancient world, hospitality was a sacred duty, but in Sodom, this sacred trust was twisted into a weapon. They would greet travelers not with water and bread, but with mockery and abuse. The great outcry that reached the heavens was the combined sorrow and pain of all those who had been wronged. This could not be ignored. A reckoning was coming. Not far from these cities, on the plains of Mamre, lived a man named Abraham. He was a man of great faith, a friend of God, the patriarch of a people learning to walk in trust. When the Lord shared his plan to investigate the outcry, Abraham's heart was filled with deep sorrow and concern. So Abraham did something incredibly brave. He stood before the Lord and began to bargain. Will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? This was a powerful, heartfelt plea for humanity. This incredible conversation continued. Abraham bargained the number down from 50 to 45 to 40 to 30 to 20. Each time, the Lord agreed. Finally, with trembling hope, Abraham made his last plea. What if only 10 can be found there? And the Lord made a final promise. For the sake of 10, I will not destroy it. Abraham had stood in the gap between God's judgment and humanity's failure. Now, all that was left was to see if even 10 good people could be found. As the sun began to set, two strangers walked toward the gate of Sodom. These were no ordinary travelers. They were angels, messengers sent by God to see the truth for themselves. Abraham's nephew Lot saw them and immediately recognized their vulnerability. Unlike his neighbors, Lot had not completely lost his sense of decency and hospitality. Lot hurried home and prepared a feast for them. He was doing exactly what a righteous man was supposed to do, protecting the strangers under his roof. But before the men could rest, the sanctuary of Lot's home was violated. Soon, Lot's house was surrounded. It wasn't just a few troublemakers, it was all the men of the city. They pounded on the door, their voices filled with hate. "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us!" Their demand was a horrifying expression of their utter depravity. Lot was in a terrible position, caught between his sacred duty to protect his guests and the fury of an entire city. In his desperation, he made a terrible offer that shows how twisted the values had become. Just as the mob was about to break down the door, the two strangers took action. They struck the men outside with a blinding light. The power of heaven had intervened directly. Inside the house, the angels revealed their true purpose to Lot. "Get them out of here. because we are going to destroy this place. The time for bargaining was over. The angels had to physically grab his hand and the hands of his wife and 2 daughters and lead them forcibly out of the city. The Lord was being merciful, saving them despite their reluctance. Flee for your lives, don't look back. Lot and his daughters ran as the sky turned a terrible color and the ground began to shake. But Lot's wife could not resist the temptation. Perhaps it was her home, her friends, her possessions. Something called to her from the city. She disobeyed the angel's command. In that instant, the judgment caught her as well. She became a pillar of salt, a permanent monument to the danger of looking back, of clinging to a world that God has condemned. From a safe distance, Abraham looked toward the plain. Where the gleaming cities once stood, he saw only thick smoke rising from the land. Judgment had been carried out. But even in this complete destruction, there are profound lessons for us to find among the ashes. The true sin of Sodom was a complete breakdown of human kindness. We learn from Abraham's plea about the incredible power of compassion. He did not celebrate the coming judgment, he grieved it. One righteous person's voice matters. This story asks us to look at our own communities, our own hearts. Do we welcome the stranger? Do we care for the vulnerable? We can choose to build communities based on love, not hate. We can be the 10 righteous souls who bring life and hope to the world around us. The cities were destroyed not because God was unwilling to be merciful, but because not even 10 righteous people could be found. Let this ancient story not be a cause for fear, but an inspiration to choose kindness, to choose compassion, to choose life every single day. We are and always will be our brother's keeper.